Hello everyone, this is Brian bringing you episode 25 of my reusable Kerbal Space Program career. At the end of the last episode, the orbital transfer vehicle was transferring fuel into the Mun cargo lander for the next run and then returning home, and once again I didn't quite have enough fuel to make it to the station, so I sent up a refueling mission. Now the last one of these crashed spectacularly, so on this one I added a whole bunch more engines. I'm building a whole lot of stuff right now, so once again I didn't do any tests. I just assumed that this would cure the problem of having to slow down that extra 100, 200 meters per second in order to safely deploy the chutes without them tearing off the craft. And as you can see, this one's not looking very good either. And once again, looks like this is going in. Hopefully the Kerbals don't come out here to have picnics. Now as for the booster that flew that payload, that refueling probe up into orbit, this booster came down quite well. Okay, quick status report before flying tonight's mission. Tonight's mission, of course, will be based on, well, getting the base set up, getting the first two modules out to Mun, into the polar crater where I expect to find food. So right now, the mapping satellite is orbiting Minmus, and it is taking no time at all to quickly map out Minmus, as you see here. It's only got a few stripes left to go. And in this career, I have about 1.23 million, and what is that, 396 science, I think that is up there. Now the keystone to my Mun project is going to be a fairly large lander that's going to travel to the different biomes, which I've already built. I'm not sure how I'm going to get it into space yet. I think I'm going to need very heavy rocketry, so I'm going to try and do what it takes to push the science count up over the limit to get that before really going for Mun. And here's what the tech tree looks like currently. Like I just said, trying to go for very heavy rocketry up there in the upper right. And the other thing that I can unlock here very soon, which I'm actually going to do this one first, is the gravioli detector, which is down there on somewhere down at the bottom. Now the next order of business is to get Jeb and Bill back to the station, so here's the OTV coming into dock. I also want to clear out some old contracts because I'm trying to fill up my contract list with contracts that have to do with Mun to make those the most profitable. So this one was to test out a cockpit, and what happened was I put it on an aircraft to get it up to its altitude and speed and couldn't quite do it, couldn't make the plane fly quite right. Didn't want to spend a lot of time engineering it and realized if I just throw this on top of the lower half of an LV-250, I can probably do this very, very easily. And so here we are. Normally I don't do equipment contracts, but this one was very lucrative and gave me a lot of science points. And that gave me enough science to unlock the gravioli detector. And I'm going to use that to try and regain all those science points, then unlock very heavy rocketry. So I stuck a rover out with the gravioli detector on it, and revisited every building around the KSC to gain all the science I could with the new gravioli detector and the other experiments that I hadn't done yet. And lastly, I cleared out a few remaining satellite place in orbit contracts here. Okay, let's go into the VAB and take a look at tonight's main event, the main payload here. Okay, the first order of business is to get two modules onto the surface in that crater where all the fuel is. The bottom module here is a power station which will supply power to this top module. Top module has a fuel tank on top, it has a fuel converter, it has a carbonite tank, some landing leg assembly, and then finally the drill underneath it. Below that are 2 docking nodes. This will allow them to detach completely from the bottom payload after it has been attached to the lander. And this is just your typical MKS power station here. And here we are launching at dawn. Haven't shown any launches in a while. Lots of landings, lots of rendezvous, etc. So I'll let you enjoy this wonderful sight for a moment here before switching out to the next bit. And I forgot to record the transfer of this payload over to the station in OTV, but I do have the booster returning. This is the same booster returning with the spent payloads from the previous episode, delivering the rover to Mun. And look at this, coming down probably closer than ever to my waypoint there in the center of the runway. Everything's looking good. Nothing's going to go wrong at all here. What the heck? Oh man. I'm not sure what happened there. I may very well have pressed the wrong key and raised the landing gear. Alright, and here is the OTV linked up with that payload you just saw. The power station and the drill on its way to Mun. It's a very exciting moment. And after a completely mundane transfer burn, orbital insertion, yada yada yada, I'm going to skip ahead here to where we're meeting up with the cargo lander. And after topping off the lander's tank, I sent Bill, my best engineer, out on EVA to see if he could repair this tire. And as it turns out, you need a level 3 engineer. Bill is only level 1. So I'm going to have to do something about that. This is really bugging me. Alright, the cargo lander's all ready. What my plan to do here is extend all the landing gear, because it's all going to happen very fast once I get close to the ground. So I'm going to touch down on, or hover right above the ground, detach the power station with this node here, and then lift up just a little bit and set the drill down, or drop the drill down right next to it. And then finally land the cargo lander right next to it. It's my initial burn to lower this thing's altitude. And then what I do is I set up a second burn right over the target. My goal with the first burn is to get me down to a point that's about 4,000 meters above the landing site. Then I set up a second node that burns off all of the remaining horizontal velocity here. Okay, I'm now starting the main burn. I have to resist the urge to not trust the maneuver node here when I see the ground pivoting around like this. This is the South Pole, and whenever you fly over a pole in Kerbal Space Program, the ground does turn, and it's disorientating. initial burn did leave me a little higher than expected. I have about 14,000 or so meters to descend. That just means that I'm going to be using up more fuel here. Yes, there is a bug that is causing the engine flames to be hidden. Okay, I'm no longer paying attention to the node. I'm looking at my surface horizontal velocity here. I see it's down to 4 meters per second. That's close enough for now. Now I do need to do some maneuvering here to get my trajectory moving closer to the landing site. Looks like I'm going to come down a canyon wall, or crater wall, I should say. I do have MechJeb's suicide burn countdown there on the landing data display, and you got to watch that. If that ever goes below 0, you are screwed. It means at a full thrust you can't stop in time before hitting. So as it approaches 1, you want to start throttling to slow down, which is what I'm doing now. And had I come in from a lower altitude, I would be saving a lot of fuel because I wouldn't have to do this for so long. All I'm doing here is fighting gravity. Okay, now that I've killed my vertical speed pretty much to 0, or actually I'm going up a little bit at this point, try and maneuver a little bit closer to that waypoint down there. Okay, got about 1,000 meters to go. Everything's looking pretty good. I wish I had a little more fuel at this point. Down to 270 meters per second. 270 delta V. Still want to get closer. really hard to see in the dark here. It's hard to tell how far away I am from that. It's hard to tell how I'm moving close to the surface, and then, hey, it's coming into view. I better slow down. I'm definitely running out of fuel now, down below 100 meters per second delta V. Looks like I'm on a slight slope here, a little bit upslope of my waypoint. Surface speed's only 2, it's looking pretty good. I want to disconnect this thing as soon as possible. I'm running out of fuel. 40 delta V. I thrusted a little too much, darn it. Okay, let's get ready to decouple. Alright, decouple. Oh, out of fuel. Okay. Kind of wishing I hadn't lowered those second landing gear, but nothing I can do about that now. Oh boy. Here we go again. Okay, so if I can get the lander upright, I know I can pick up the drill. But I do need Kerbal help with that. So I don't think I can do anything with it sitting like this. We'll go ahead and yeah, close those up so it doesn't fight me when I do try to raise it. Okay, let's jettison the drill. Okay, now I can focus on getting the lander upright. Now usually I spend several minutes trying to figure out how to write these things, and I don't record that because it just gets boring. But this one kind of took me by surprise and how easy it was to get set back up. So first I retracted the legs, and then I actually used the engine pivot to kind of flip it up. That bottom engine there ends up flipping it up into position. And I hit record partially through that process. So the engine pivoting, whatever you call it, the hinge, gave it the momentum upwards, and then the RCS just helped it up and then counter thrusted once it was up to keep it up. Now I can't do anything about the drill for now, but what I can do is I can move the power module down to where it should be, down to a good landing site. Okay, about 300 meters away is a good spot. It's fairly flat. Go ahead and detach the power module. So the way the decouplers worked was I faced one towards when I built this into the VAB, I faced one of those decouplers towards the top and one towards the bottom, and I connected the bottom one to the top of the module, so that when I disconnected the bottom one, the module just drops free and doesn't have any, bad looking residual equipment on top, and the docking node is still available for me to carry away, take it back to Kerbal. Now, when I was bringing the rover down off the hill, there was a slight rise, and I figured I'd have some fun with it and get a little bit of air, so I've got a little Dukes of Hazzard action here. This is, of course, spread up to 3 times, which makes it look like almost like something you'd see on planet Earth, but remember, this happened in slow motion, which made it kind of fun. But this video is getting kind of long, so I sped it up. Now, while looking at the map here to send the orbital transfer vehicle home, I realized it was going to pass over 1 or 2 of these contract points, which I said, well, sure, I'll go ahead and grab those, take those back with me, earn a little bit extra money. So there's 1, 2, three, and 4. And after the usual double pass on the aero braking, this time I left basically all the fuel in that last 1/3 hull section there for coming back to Kerbal and getting attached to the station, and that turned out to be just the right amount, so I will continue doing that in the future. And this docking went so smoothly I decided to show it from the interior, see what that looked like for once. So I really want to kind of cash in on all the experience that these Kerbals have been earning. So I sent Jebediah, Bill, and the entire station crew here down to the KSC to see what I can get out of this. I'm hoping that by this time Bill will jump up to level 3 and he can go repair that tire, because it is difficult to drive that thing around Mun. And driving it around Mun with a broken wheel is even worse. So here we go. Now this capsule has lots and lots of delta V on it in the form of monopropellant, but very little thrust. I don't have the Super Draco thrusters yet. So this burn takes a long time, and doing it from far away with this length of time is just not very accurate. And I intentionally set the target a little bit long, knowing that it's probably going to keep some monopropellant thrusters on the whole way down, which is what I'm doing here. Boy, this is still coming in really fast. This is making me nervous. Yeah, fast indeed. I'm just not slowing down. This seems to be a recurring theme now with Kerbal Space Program, with the mods I have installed, is that small heavy objects like this, they just come down like artillery shells. They don't want to slow down at all. Oh boy, I might lose my entire crew here. Come on, slow down. Slow down. 7 Kerbals riding this thing. Oh man, this is not looking good. Maybe I can make it. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, there. Oh my god. Yeah, it doesn't even float. That was kind of epic. I don't ever want to do that again. Okay, so some of these Kerbals gained some experience, and Jeb and Bill did not. But I can get very heavy rocketry now. And with 1.6 something million in funds, I'm pretty sure I can upgrade this building here and still have a comfortable margin there. Time to wrap up tonight's episode. Thank you very much for watching. And next time we'll probably be landing more stuff on Mun. And until then, fly with confidence.